Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a Sky Striker deck profile with, of course, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer. This card is absolutely nuts in the deck. It makes it so much more competitive, and I believe that this deck now has a solid spot in the meta. So without further ado, let's get right into this. Of course, I am playing 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Ray. This is going to be your best starter. You want her on the field and in the graveyard as soon as possible to tag out for your Sky Striker Ace Link monsters. So yeah, absolutely run this at 3. Next up, I'm only running 2 copies of Rose. I don't feel like Rose is as important as Ray, but she's very good nonetheless, so that's why I run 2 of Rose. Next up, of course, 1 copy of Celestial, 1 copy of Dasher. You need these for your Destiny hero. Also, they're not really bricks because Celestial lets you draw 2 cards when your hand is empty when it's in the graveyard, and Dasher actually lets you special summon a monster when you draw it in your draw phase. So that's really cool. Next up, of course, I'm playing 3 copies of Effect Failure. This is the most important hand trap because when you go into your Helki Fibrex and then into Selene, you want to of course, use Failure to go into access code. Next up, 2 copies of Ash, 2 copies of Ghost Bell, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre, and then 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence as a last hand trap. Also notice that I specifically chose most of the hand traps that are tuners, so we can go into Helki Fibrex. Now let's get into the spells. First up, I am playing 1 copy of Engage, of course, it's at 1. 3 copies of Widow Anchor. This card is absolutely nuts. So it lets you negate monster effects, and when you have 3 or more spells in the graveyard, it also lets you take control of that monster, so that is absolutely insane. Only 1 copy of Shark Cannon. I never really felt the need to play more than 1, so I just keep it at 1 for now. 1 copy of Hornet Drones, of course, then 1 copy of Multi-Roll. For some more one-offs, I am also running 1 copy of Area Zero and a single copy of Eagle Booster. 2 copies of Afterburners. I feel like Afterburners is actually a really good card. That's why I run it at 2. You could potentially cut 1 Afterburners and play an extra Shark Cannon, so play around with that. Of course, I am playing 3 copies of Fusion Destiny. Going into your Destroyer hero Phoenix Enforcer. This is a really good card. 2 copies of Forbidden Droplets. Droplets just super good. For some one-offs, 1 Terraforming, of course 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 copy of Upstart Goblin, a single copy of Call by the Grave, then 1 copy of Mystic Mine. This is just an insta win to some decks, so I keep it in here as long as it's still legal. And then, of course, 1 copy of Pot of Avarice. When you play against a control deck or whatever, and you draw a Pot of Avarice to shuffle back your Link monsters, you can basically play forever. So that's why I run a Pot of Avarice in this build. I think it's just an insane card in this deck. That's it for the main deck. Now let's get into the extra deck. Of course, I am running 1 copy of Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer. This card is so good in this deck. Being able to clear itself off the field so your spells can work, and then also being able to blow up your own Area Zero to special summon your Sky Striker Ace Ray is so good. Next up, I am playing 2 copies of Hayate. Hayate is going to be your first link you're gonna go into. it's gonna send a spell to the grave, but 2 is fine. I never really felt the need to play more than 2. 3 copies of Kagari. Kagari is nuts. She can get you the spell back out of the grave. Tagging into her, she also gets stronger with every spell that is in your graveyard, so this is just a really powerful card. And then of course 3 copies of Shizuku. Shizuku is also nuts. It's a searcher, and it makes your opponent's monsters go weaker with every spell that's in grave. And then I'm also running 1 copy of Kena. Kena doesn't really come up, but it's just good to have an extra name and also an extra target for access code to banish. So yeah, that's why I run that. Then 1 copy of Zeke. Zeke is also really good. And you can use Zeke to tag out for other Sky Striker Link monsters, so that's really good. And of course 1 Predaplant for the Anaconda. Yeah, we're playing a fusion, so Verde is mandatory in this deck. And of course the combo with Halqifibrax, 1 copy of Selene, and then Access Code Talker, rounding out the extra deck. Right, so I'm going to show you a really quick little combo you can do. It's not really a combo, it's just to close out the game, finish off with Access Code Talker. But say the game has been going on for a bit, you have a bunch of spells in grave, and you control a Link monster. What you want to do is, with one of your hand traps, it doesn't really matter, I'm just going to take Ash. You're going to normal summon your hand trap, which is a tuner, then use your Link and your hand trap to go straight into Crystron Halqifibrax. Trigger the effect of Halqifibrax to special summon a copy of Effect Veiler. With Effect Veiler and Halqifibrax, you go straight into Selene, and then place a number of counters on Selene depending on the amount of spells. Then you're going to remove 3 counters from Selene to bring back your Effect Veiler. With Selene, you're going to go straight into Access Code Talker, targeting Selene. Access Code Talker is now at 5,300 attack. You're probably gonna have a bunch of Link monsters in the graveyard, so you're gonna be able to banish a couple, destroy a lot of cards your opponent controls, and then swing for game that way. So yeah, this deck is really nuts. If you want to see some more in-depth Sky Striker videos in the future, please leave a comment. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It would help out a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next one.